So we have to speak about the Jay-Z and Buzzbee hearing that just took place with Judge Epstein. Everything you guys need to know in less than 10 minutes. Hey guys, it's Murad Morali, daily and consistent content. Let's get straight into this report. A court reporter, as we know of, Megan Cunniff, shout out to her, was present. And, you know, it looks like there are issues for both Jay-Z and Buzzbee when it comes to this court hearing. Jay-Z's lawyer, Robert Schwartz of Quinn Emanuel, says, "Nobody at my law firm hired these investigators, and no one knew they were being hired. Mr. Carter is free if he had wanted to knock on that door or hire investigators, because this is not an ethical violation in California. I do not want her deposed for the purpose of this motion," Judge Epstein says of Jane Doe when it comes to Jay-Z's accuser. So, you know, he does not want her to be deposed. Jay-Z's lawyer just said he misspoke earlier when he said Roc Nation hired the investigators who spoke to Jane Doe at her home in Alabama. It was somebody who worked for Mr. Carter, Schwartz says. Somebody who was one of his assistants decided to do this. Okay, so now it's an assistant of Jay-Z that seems to have hired those PI people, because it seemed too bizarre for us to believe that these PI people would have not been related to Jay-Z in any kind of way or doing his bidding work, because they were coming here to basically defend him. So, you know, I just find that to be absolutely laughable. Now, this is where the judge is telling off Jay-Z. He says his fingerprints are all over it, whether he knew or not, Judge Epstein says of Jay-Z. Schwartz says something about wanting to make sure somebody in the back of the courtroom heard this, which I'll, you know, take as a shout out. This is obviously Schwartz is Jay-Z's lawyer. Epstein is bumping up the trial. Judge Epstein said damn it and corrected himself to darn it. Whilst looking at his calendar, he's trying to find a good day for Jay-Z and Buzzbee's lawyers to come back for the courtroom and continue arguing. He notes to the world, "We need lighter dockets." They're basically bumping up a trial, so things are going to take place on Monday, on Tuesday, on the April 7th and April 8th. And not only that, but a 50-page tentative order has also been released. Now, this is what is very intriguing, because this is not the actual order, but this is basically what the judge is leaning towards. Judge Epstein's tentative ruling is that the new evidence presented by Jay-Z's lawyer salvages the extortion claim against Tony Buzzbee over the dismissed R-word lawsuit. This ruling is not final, but just having that said as a tentative is going to be a big win for Jay-Z and a major loss, guys, for Buzzbee, because of course he wants all of this to be completely ruled out. He does not want this to continue. He basically wants this to be gone. Megan Cunniff notes, a court reporter, that she appreciates the conditions of Judge Epstein and allowing journalists to work under his courtroom. "We are free to use our laptops and his clerk is making us all copies of the 50-page tentative order. This is for the press." Judge Epstein has called out the attorneys for basically writing press releases and disguising them as relevant court declarations. He called these declarations about Jane Doe's background inappropriate. So who is coming out with these background information on Jane Doe? This is for the press. No, this is not a part of the decision written for the press. This is what many of the filings could have said in their captions. For Carter, the Pillinger declarations are inappropriate. A declaration based on public information and the internet will not be admissible even under Sweetwater. The court will feel that the declaration ought to be as close to admissible as possible, and this does not cut it. More to the point, the declarations are of no weight. The recitation of certain private facts about Jane Doe will not be enough to warrant a finding of actual malice, even assuming Buzzbee could reasonably have found it by looking. It seems to the court as more of an effort to draw a probation against Doe than a real attempt to win the motion. That is why the court disregarded them in full, and for all Carter speaks of simply using the evidence to show minimal merit, that ring hollow in light of the way he has attacked Jane Doe's credibility. Intriguing. As for Buzzbee, not as for Buzzbee, guys. The judge is coming for them both. As for Buzzbee, Buzzbee well knows that the counter declarations are of little or no value in his context. All competing declarations tend to do is to emphasize that there is a factual dispute, and as noted above, this is what happened here. The issue is not what this court would do, were this court acting as a fact finder and able to weigh the evidence. It is only whether there is evidence from Carter's side of the ledger that, if believed in true, would warrant a judgment. The counter evidence then seems to be more of the press and the court. And back to Carter, the order, not the judge whacking them both, the order concerning Buzzbee's pro hac vice status in New York is not terribly valuable here. That is a bonus point for Buzzbee, for the fact that they're saying that, look, this man is not even allowed to work here, he doesn't have in the SDNY. The judge is saying that's not relevant here, so stop bringing that up. The court fails even to see the relevance to the legal questions, so the court must now decide. Again, the court must believe that the documents were filed for an audience different than the court. So this does not look good for Buzzbee at the end of the day. At the end of the day, this does not look good for Buzzbee because, of course, the extortion claims that potentially were going to be thrown out, it seems that the judge's tentative ruling as of right now is that he's leaning towards allowing them to pass through, which means that this could potentially go to trial. Now, remember, when it came to one of Diddy's bail hearings, I think his last one, Judge Arun was basically, the court was adjourned because he couldn't make up his mind of whether he should be granted bail or not. He was trying to listen to both sides. And I think that we should remember that right now, when it comes to this particular hearing, that could be a tentative ruling, but that's not finalized, and that could also change. But that being Judge Epstein's tentative ruling as of right now, that he's looking to basically pass, salvage, let's just say, Jay-Z's extortion claims against Buzzbee, is still a big win for Jay-Z. So it's not good for Buzzbee. It's also not good for Jay-Z in this, because Jay-Z is basically, the judge has basically said that Jay-Z's fingerprints look like they're all over this. And that's what I feel like we've all been saying. We've all been gaslit to believe that these investigators came out of nowhere to come to this person's house and, transcripts, ask them questions and etc. Even the Jane Doe person said, is this from Jay-Z? This really highlights and exposes the corruption if this is what Jay-Z has been doing. And of course, Schwartz is saying that an assistant was basically doing it without his knowledge. The judge says his fingerprints are all over it, whether he knew or not. Schwartz says something about wanting to make sure somebody in the back of the courtroom heard this, which is intriguing. Now, one lawyer says the interesting thing about Judge Epstein's apparent inclination to allow the extortion count to survive demur is that it exposes the flimsiness of Buzzbee's defense. The judge gave Buzzbee a great chance to get the extortion count dismissed if Buzzbee simply showed that he sent the November 5th demand letter with Doe's permission. The extortion count would probably be dismissed. Instead, Buzzbee submitted a declaration that his firm got Doe's permission on or about November the 4th, which could mean the 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. So basically, there could have been some time where Buzzbee could have really gotten this dismissed. The fact that a tentative ruling is leaning towards Jay-Z, I know Buzzbee would be pissed right now, but also the corruption is basically what Judge Epstein is kind of leaning towards as well when it came to Jay-Z, and the fact that his fingerprints are all over these PIs. These PIs have messed everything up. The case has been dropped with prejudice. There's no need to go an extra mile and get PIs and etc., because then you're muddying the waters. Of course, Schwartz, the lawyer, is saying that I don't know anybody doing this in my law firm, unbeknownst to me, as to who did this and whether it's an assistant. And the judge said, I don't give a damn whether you think you know or you don't know who got these PIs. His fingerprints are all over this. That's what it looks like. But for the judge to still say that and still lean towards Jay-Z when it comes to passing and salvaging his extortion claims is also very intriguing. So this has been a very intense hearing, back and forth. A lot. We're going to get an update on April 7th and 8th in regards to what the judge is going to decide. He's given a tentative ruling, so we know what he's leaning towards. But, the judge telling off Jay-Z and his people is something that I also did not expect. This is the same judge who said that just because his case has been dropped with prejudice doesn't mean that this man did not do what he was accused of doing. I think that is also an interesting stuff. Now, some people are reacting to this. Some people are stating that the judge is basically on payroll, being paid off by the Carters and his team and etc. And there's extra levels of corruption and etc. I don't know that to be true, so I'm not going to be saying that as fact. That's just what people are stating here. Diddy also is facing a similar lawsuit for the fact that he was basically paying off judges and police officers and etc. So, that in itself is just very interesting that came out 2 weeks ago. And I think that we should always keep that in mind when it comes to reviewing, hearing and casing. But I'm not saying that that's what Jay-Z and his lawyers are doing for fact, because I don't know. I'm not there. Let me know your thoughts are, guys, when it comes to this video. Sound off in the comment box below. A very intense hearing. Everything you guys needed to know. I'm going to fill you guys in because there's a lot going on today. I don't know what it is. Whether it's the Prince Harry charity fiasco, Oprah Winfrey being subpoenaed, then we obviously have this particular Jay-Z Buzzbee hearing, and we have another topic that is coming out right after this. So please stay tuned because it's just a busy Wednesday, Thursday. I don't understand what's going on. Stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys soon for another video.